Coming of age events. Some of them are fun, some of them are cool, some of them are a little too insane, hence why we're here.
A little morbid too.
That being said, here's some crazy coming of age events. Kicking off the list at number 10, the Festival of Drunkenness. Okay, we gotta start on a fun, kind of loose note just to get us into this list. Nowadays, we have parties for just about everything. Baby's on the way. Baby came out. Oh, baby turned 1. Oh, Gavin made the baseball team. We love celebrating. We actually find excuses to do so. Well, the Festival of Drunkenness in Egypt back in the 15th century just got right to the point. Just drink your faces off. That's it. All in the name of, well, the gods. This was a religious event. Yeah, you heard me. It was to celebrate the Egyptian sun god Ra. The story goes as such. Ra stopped the end of the world when Hathor was planning on devouring all of life on it. Ra successfully thwarted their plan by getting them drunk off 7,000 jars of beer that they lied about, and they dyed red to make it look like it was blood. Hashtag pranked ya. Now you can't walk. So the world was saved. Ancient Egyptians would then honor this again and again, religious event, by absolutely getting plastered. If you didn't pass out, that was considered offensive, like not burping after a meal. Also, drink responsibly. This was back then. We're a little smarter now, a little bit safer.
At number 9, survival of the fittest. Do you consider yourself to be an outdoorsy person? I for one am not. I'll go to a cottage for a weekend, but sleeping outside in the wilderness? Count me the F out. I would definitely fail the coming of age ritual that the Australian Aboriginals did, and I probably would have been lost to the elements within a day. If that. But for the brave young indigenous Australian souls from back in ancient times, this was their way of proving their way into adulthood. The traditional walkabout was a ritual task performed by young tribe members between the ages of 10 and 16, where they would leave the tribe for about 6 months and try to survive in the wilderness. They would depart wearing only a loincloth, decorated in traditional ornaments and paint, and they would start their long journey. This was meant as a test of their survival skills, but also their capability to communicate with their spiritual guides. This young person would have to survive off the land, providing themselves with their own shelter, food and water, and surviving against any predators. If they made it back in one piece, then they would be considered a full-fledged adult. The walkabout is still lightly practiced today, but it's more of a journey of self-discovery, not a full-blown life-threatening journey.
Number 8, Ball of the Burning Men. If you're gonna party like it's 1999, at least do so safely. Please. Back in 1393, for example, in Paris, these knights would put on these fun party performances for the king every time it was their birthday or some event. Again, they just like to have fun and get a little crazy. So the knights would dress up as wild beasts. How hilarious is that? They would soak their armor with shrubbery and dry glass, just stuffing it, anything to make them look hairy, almost. Which, first of all, great bit, but also way too itchy. That's too much commitment for me. I am itching saying this. No way I would be that committed. This party was going well, and they planned for these wacky performances. They banned candles and torches from this room, obviously, because of what I said earlier, the stuffed goose-looking attire. The king's brother, he was drunk. He was loaded. Maybe he was at the Festival of Drunkenness prior, who knows. He walks in with a torch. He got too close to the knights, and then one of the dancers had an awful night, and they're like, you know what, let's not do that party anymore. Let's just celebrate nicely, peacefully. Sans, lighters, and wheels.
At number 7, Toga Party. Milestones are a huge part of growing up. First words, first steps, first day of school. As we grow up, we strive to reach that next milestone. For us these days, these goals could be a number of things, but for people growing up in ancient Rome, there was one milestone celebration that every young Roman boy looked forward to: the man's toga. In ancient Roman culture, young boys started out wearing white togas, adorned with a purple stripe. But when said boy comes of age and is considered a man, he gets the cosmetic upgrade that he's looked forward to for much of his young life. His new man's toga is pretty much still a normal white toga, but the only difference is that there's no purple stripe to indicate his childhood. To me, I interpret this almost like when you're in some kind of martial arts class and you get a new belt level, you know? Upgrading to the man's toga also came with a couple perks, because being considered a full-fledged adult man also granted you all of the privileges of being an adult male in society. However, all of this toga pomp and circumstance was reserved for only free people, and anyone under servitude would not be able to be granted the man's toga.
Number 6, Fountains o' Fun. Back in 1520, King Henry VIII of England and Francis I of France had a little meeting, a little work lunch. Look, we've all been to a business lunch. Maybe you have one drink. The idea ideas start to flow. You're starting to feel good, you're getting another one, you're riding a wave, you're feeling good as a team, you're feeling creative, heads are bumping in, maybe you're starting to spill a few secrets. The next thing you know, you have another drink, and then another, and then you're buzzing, and then you're getting an Uber, and no work has actually been done. You just gossiped. Well, this was like one of those meetings, but they kept drinking for 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks, people. Both sides attended this meeting with one goal: look cool and party hard and impress. Both sides attended this meeting with so many goals in mind. Those goals being looking cool, partying hard, and just showing off, I guess. They planned on this party being a historical one because a temporary palace was constructed before the meeting alongside 2 fountains. One flowing with not water but wine, and the other flowing with still not water but beer. Pick your poison. Also, take your shoes off because you're gonna be here for a while, about 2.5 weeks. Good luck.
At number 5, the Lion King. Be honest with me. Do you think you could take on a lion? Like real Mufasa looking lion. As hard as it might be to hunt and kill a lion, there were some who were actually able to do it using only a spear and their wits. For hundreds of years, the Maasai people have had a strong connection to the land and wildlife of southern Kenya and northern Tanzania, and this has influenced their culture's coming-of-age celebrations. According to the Maasai people's lore, a boy can only become a man when they kill a lion. So, guess what they do? They pull a scar and go all Lion King on the nearest Mufasa they can find. The boys who attempt this are given only a spear and are sent out into the plains to find and kill a male lion to show their strength and bravery. If they're successful in taking a lion down solo, they bring the animal back to the rest of the tribe and symbolically throw it away, and later sacrifice a lamb on top of that. It was a lot of killing, so this practice has been discontinued over the years as to protect the animal populations, but they still have other ways of transitioning into adulthood.
Number 4, a 3-day banquet. This next one, honestly, I think I could do it. I think if you catch me at the right day, I could probably do this one. Back in 1720, the Manchu Han Imperial Feast was the ultimate dinner party. It was a peace offering between both the Manchu and the Han Chinese, and the Emperor Zhuangye hosted the celebration on his birthday. Good timing, good sir, of course. It's like, oh, it's my birthday, so we can just, also do this at the same time. What better way to spend your 66th birthday than to eat more than 300 different dishes from both of these parties all around the world? Leopard meat, rhino tail, camel, humps, just insane items on this menu. It's not like, oh, Caesar salad, and then, oh, Greek salad. No, it's like bird brains, a rhino. You're gonna be full pretty fast. Also gross. There's one restaurant today that still offers the services for such an event. It'll just cost you $54,000, excluding the tip.
At number 3, the Inca Way. In many cultures, there are different coming-of-age ceremonies and rituals for boys and girls of said culture. Back in the days of the Inca, their coming-of-age rituals were very different between boys and girls, but they were still a little unusual, but still pretty fascinating. For young Inca women, they were considered women when they got their first period. When this happened, the girl would stay in her house without eating. Then on the 3rd day, she would be given corn, her mother would bathe her, braid her hair, and she would be given new clothes as well. Following this, she would be able to leave the house, her family would visit her, and her closest uncle would give her a new permanent name. This seems pretty positive and tame, other than the not eating part, but of course the wild stuff was saved for the boys. For young Inca men, in December of their 14th year, they would trek up a mountain to sacrifice a llama, then a priest would smear the llama's blood on the boy's forehead, kind of like what Rafiki did to Simba in The Lion King. A lot of Lion King here. Cool. The boy would also be given a sling to signify that he is now a warrior. His legs would also be whipped to toughen them up and make him stronger, and he would be able to get piercings to show his status and strength.
Number 2, Nero's Golden House. A golden house for one man. Awesome. Sounds like you need it. You know, history's crazy when you start to hear of those party houses, like those rooms, those castles, specifically made for ancient Roman parties. That's it. Nero built one, and it was a massive golden house, of course, and he used it every day almost for years. Some say it covered 100 acres of land. Okay. Right across the center of Rome, this big golden palace. At this time, the people of Rome were also starving, I should mention. This was one of the last things Nero did really before he was yeeted out. You don't say. It's almost like making a golden palace to show how big and rich you are while others are literally eating breadcrumbs. Might piss a few people off. And on top of this golden palace, he had this massive dome too, of course containing gold-plated walls. He had an artificial lake just for him and just for his rich friends, just for all the wrong reasons. Inside this main gold room though, there were also 300 individual rooms, and none of them were used at all. None of them were even bedrooms for that matter for anybody, but an absolute waste. He built all this just to celebrate rich visitors or for these coming of age events which happened 4 times a week.
And finally at number 1, New Do. The Zhou dynasty in ancient China introduced a coming of age ceremony for boys and girls called the capping or hairpin ceremony. For the boys, the capping ceremony took place in February of their 20th year, and it was a special ritual where an honored guest would roll the young man's hair into a bun and put a cap on their head. The honored guest would then give a speech wishing the young man good fortune, telling him he was now an adult. Then the young man would bow towards his mother and the honored guest would give him a new name. On the flip side, the young women went through the hairpin ceremony. This was essentially the same premise where someone would put their hair in a bun, but secure it with a hairpin rather than a cap. For women, this ceremony could be held between her engagement and her wedding, but it couldn't happen after she turned 20. That was essentially the cutoff year. So, hurry up and get married, I guess.
Guys, those are some weird, fun-ish coming of age events. I would say fun, more or less fun.
We had a plethora of different ones for you guys to learn about, so you're welcome.
And if a part 2 is in your desires, your deepest desires, comment down below, hit that thumbs up, you know how to show some love, and then we'll be back with some more crazy facts.
We'll figure it out for you. Don't worry, we got you.
We'll figure it out, definitely. I'm like, we'll read some more of this crazy shit.
Yes.
I'm Taylor McWaters.
And I'm Bree Rue.
And we'll see you next time on Bumblebee.
Bye.